Chosen one, stop scrolling right now and listen closely. This moment is not random, and you did not arrive here by coincidence. This is not just another video. It is a God's message reaching you in precise divine alignment. Something deeper than logic interrupted you. Something your mind didn't plan but your spirit immediately recognized. This video is about divine redirection, how it actually feels when God begins to shift your life, why confusion often comes before clarity, and how spiritual awakening quietly activates before you ever have words for it. If you stay, you will understand why your life has felt different lately, why old paths no longer satisfy you, and why this message feels like it's speaking directly to you. You didn't pause by accident. You paused because your soul responded before your thoughts could interfere. That pull you felt did not need explanation, and it does not need permission. It matters. It is evidence. Divine alignment always begins with recognition before understanding, and God never redirects the chosen one with noise or chaos. He does it with resonance. This video will reveal why the shift you're sensing feels quiet instead of dramatic, why it feels familiar instead of shocking, and why something ancient inside you just stood up and said, "This is it." Stay until the very end, because what you are about to hear will explain what is happening to you right now, and why missing this moment would mean missing the deeper purpose unfolding in your life. Divine redirection never arrives loudly. It does not crash into your life with chaos or spectacle. It arrives quietly, as a pause, as a moment where the world seems to soften around you, as an inner stillness where something important is being named without being explained. You may not have had language for it until now, but you've been feeling it, that subtle knowing, that sense that something is shifting beneath the surface. That is not confusion. That is alignment settling in. You may have thought your life was falling apart. You may have wondered why things that once mattered suddenly lost their grip. But hear this clearly, your life has not been falling apart. It has been repositioning. God does not dismantle the chosen one's life recklessly. He rearranges it carefully. He loosens what no longer fits before he reveals what comes next. Repositioning feels uncomfortable because it requires release before clarity. Spiritual awakening often begins with inner silence, not answers. A quiet detachment, a pause where the noise fades and you're left alone with your awareness. That silence is not emptiness, it is preparation. God removes distractions before he gives direction. He slows you down before he realigns you. That is why this message reached you now and not earlier. Readiness is not about desire. It is about stillness. Chosen one, you are not imagining this. You were called. Not everyone is pulled into moments like this because not everyone is being redirected. Divine redirection is selective. It happens to those whose light carries responsibility. It happens to those whose path affects more than just themselves. God does not redirect what he does not intend to use. If you felt a sense of recognition when these words began, if something inside you softened instead of resisted, that is alignment confirming itself. Awareness always arrives before instruction. God does not overwhelm the chosen one with information. He awakens them with truth. That truth often feels heavier than sound and calmer than excitement. That is how you know it is real. This is the moment where you consciously acknowledge what your spirit already knows. If you feel aligned, if you recognize yourself in this message, comment 777, not for attention, not for proof, but as agreement. Alignment deepens when it is acknowledged. Awareness becomes activation when it is named. By the end of this video, you will understand what divine redirection actually feels like. You will understand why it often feels uncomfortable before it feels clear. You will understand why restlessness appears before direction and why dissatisfaction is often the first sign of divine guidance. Most importantly, you will understand why this process only happens to the chosen one. Because redirection is not correction. It is refinement. Divine redirection does not mean something went wrong. It means something greater is being protected. God interrupts momentum when momentum would lead you away from your assignment. He introduces discomfort when comfort would keep you small. That is why awakening feels unsettling. It asks you to let go of familiarity before it offers certainty. There is a real war happening, even if it is quiet, a war for attention, a war for identity, a war for purpose. The chosen one feels this war internally long before it becomes visible externally. That tension you've been carrying, the sense that you don't fully belong where you are, is not weakness. It is awareness. Light attracts resistance, and if your light were not necessary, it would not be challenged. Circle back to this truth now. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the pull. You are not overthinking the shift. You were called because your awareness is required in this time. Your light is not optional. It is needed. That is why redirection began quietly, carefully, intentionally. Stay with this message. Let it settle. Let it name what you've been sensing but couldn't explain. Divine alignment is not loud, but it is precise. And precision always finds the chosen one at the exact moment they are ready to listen. If this touched your soul, if something inside you just said, "I know this," comment 111. Because you know it now, you were called. The first sensation, when your old life no longer fits, chosen one. Return to this truth before we go any further. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what you have been feeling. You were not mistaken. You were called. And the first way divine redirection makes itself known is not through collapse, loss, or answers, but through a quiet and confusing sensation that something no longer fits. The earliest emotional and spiritual signal of divine redirection is dissatisfaction without explanation, not dramatic unhappiness, not obvious misery, but a subtle, persistent sense that what once energized you no longer reaches you the same way. Things that used to motivate you now feel strangely flat. Conversations feel repetitive. Goals feel hollow. Routines feel mechanical. Even dreams you once chased with certainty begin to lose their emotional charge. This is one of the most misunderstood stages of spiritual awakening, because from the outside, nothing appears wrong. Life may look stable. Responsibilities are being met. You are functioning, but internally, something has shifted. The excitement is gone. The spark is dimmer, and no amount of logic can explain why. Hear this clearly. This is not laziness. It is not burnout. It is not failure, and it is not confusion. It is divine guidance beginning its work. God always disconnects emotional energy before he removes physical circumstances. He loosens attachment before he changes direction. If he moved the environment first, the chosen one would resist, so he moves the heart first. That restlessness you feel is not a flaw. It is awareness stretching beyond its old limits. That boredom is not apathy. It is discernment outgrowing what once satisfied it. That sense of being out of place, even while everything looks fine on the surface, is not ingratitude. It is alignment signaling that you no longer belong where you are. This is what divine redirection feels like in its earliest form. Quiet, subtle, internally disruptive, but externally invisible. It creates tension, not because something is wrong, but because something is changing. Spiritual awakening rarely announces itself with clarity. It announces itself with discomfort. You may have tried to fix this feeling by pushing harder, setting new goals, forcing motivation, blaming yourself for not being grateful enough. But effort cannot revive what God has already begun to withdraw you from. When divine guidance is active, forcing enthusiasm only creates exhaustion. God removes emotional fuel from paths that no longer align with your divine calling and chosen one identity. He does this gently, not to punish you, but to protect you. If the old life continued to feel exciting, you would build deeper roots in the wrong soil. And the deeper the roots, the harder the uprooting later. This phase feels uncomfortable because it strips you of false certainty. You are no longer satisfied enough to stay, but not yet clear enough to move. That in-between space can feel lonely. It can make you question yourself. It can make you wonder if you are broken. You are being repositioned. Spiritual awakening often begins with emotional detachment. You notice yourself caring less about things that once consumed your attention. Not out of numbness, but out of growth. Your spirit is recalibrating. It is learning what is no longer worthy of its energy. This is discernment being trained, not joy being removed. The discomfort is part of the instruction. God is teaching you to listen inwardly instead of relying on external validation. When the old motivations fade, you are forced to sit with yourself, to notice what remains when the noise dies down, to feel the difference between obligation and alignment. This stage feels like loss only because it precedes gain. It feels empty only because it comes before direction. Divine redirection never begins by adding. It begins by subtracting what no longer serves who you are becoming. That subtraction can feel like grief, even when nothing tangible has been taken away. You may feel guilty for wanting more when nothing is technically wrong. You may feel ungrateful for feeling dissatisfied when others would be content. But chosen one, your sensitivity is not selfishness. It is awareness. Your spirit knows when it has outgrown a container, even if your mind hasn't caught up yet. This is protection, not punishment. God is preventing you from settling permanently in a chapter that was meant to be temporary. He is stopping you from mistaking comfort for calling. He is making sure you do not confuse familiarity with destiny. The war is real, even here. The resistance you feel is not just internal. When your light begins to outgrow its surroundings, pressure increases. Doubt whispers, fear suggests retreat. The temptation to numb yourself or distract yourself becomes stronger. That is not random. That is opposition to expansion. But understand this, if your light were not necessary, there would be no resistance. If your alignment did not matter, there would be no redirection. God does not disturb what He does not intend to use. Circle back to the beginning again. This is a message from God. You are not imagining this dissatisfaction. You were called out of something that could no longer carry your purpose. Your discomfort is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to listen. Do not rush to escape this feeling. Do not try to force clarity before it arrives. This stage is teaching you how to recognize misalignment without needing drama to justify leaving. That skill will protect you for the rest of your life. Stay present. Stay aware. Stay honest with yourself. Divine guidance is active, even if direction has not yet been revealed. And what is being prepared for you requires a version of you that is no longer attached to what used to excite you. If this touched your soul, if you recognized yourself in this quiet dissatisfaction, comment 111, because you know it now. You were called. The silent collapse. Why things begin to unravel without drama. Chosen one, come back to the beginning again, because truth must be re-anchored before it can go deeper. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what you are witnessing. You were called, and what you are experiencing now is not chaos, even though it may feel unsettling. This stage of divine redirection is what I call the silent collapse, and it is one of the most confusing phases for the chosen one, because nothing explodes, yet everything subtly shifts. Divine redirection rarely arrives as sudden disaster. For the chosen one, it does not look like public failure or dramatic breakdown. It looks quiet. Friendships slowly fade without conflict. Opportunities stall without explanation. Conversations lose momentum. Doors that once opened easily now remain closed, even though you are doing everything right. Nothing appears broken, yet nothing moves forward the way it used to. This is intentional. God does not destroy the chosen one's life. He withdraws support from paths that are no longer aligned. When alignment changes, grace moves with it. What once flowed effortlessly now requires strain, not because you lost favor, but because favor has shifted direction. Divine redirection does not announce itself with collapse. It reveals itself through resistance. This is where confusion often begins. You pray harder, you try to be more faithful, more disciplined, more committed. Yet the more effort you apply, the less movement you see, and a dangerous thought may creep in. Am I being abandoned? But hear this clearly, and let it settle deep. This is not abandonment. This is precision. God does not shout instructions to the chosen one. He reshapes environments. When words would be argued with, God uses silence. When explanations would be resisted, God uses stillness. He allows certain things to stop responding, so you learn what no longer belongs in your future. This phase tests trust more than faith. Faith believes God can move. Trust believes God knows when not to. The chosen one must learn to release what no longer responds, instead of forcing life to cooperate. Not everything that stops is meant to be fixed. Some things stop because they have completed their assignment in your life. Silence is uncomfortable for the chosen one because you are perceptive. You feel shifts before others notice them. When God grows quiet, you notice immediately. But silence is not absence. Silence is communication without distraction. Divine guidance is often clearest when noise is removed. In this phase, it can feel like you are standing still while everyone else keeps moving. Other people advance. Other people celebrate milestones. Other people seem untouched by the slowdown you are experiencing. This comparison can be painful if misunderstood. But understand this, divine redirection often requires stillness because movement would take you in the wrong direction. Standing still is not stagnation when God is involved. It is containment. It is restraint. It is protection. God pauses the chosen one when speed would lead to misalignment. He slows external progress so internal alignment can catch up. The silent collapse teaches discernment. You begin to notice who disappears when you stop initiating. Which opportunities vanish when you stop forcing? Which relationships survive only through your effort? This is not loss meant to hurt you. It is revelation meant to free you. Releasing what no longer responds is one of the hardest lessons for the chosen one because you are loyal, committed, and capable of endurance. But endurance is not meant to be applied to everything. Some doors close because they are no longer doors. Some connections fade because they were seasonal, not eternal. This stage can feel lonely, not because you are alone, but because you are being separated from noise. God creates distance so you can hear Him without interference. The silence sharpens perception. You begin to feel truth instead of chasing reassurance. The war is real here. It is subtle, internal, and relentless. Doubt whispers that you should go back. Fear tells you to settle. Distraction offers comfort without purpose. But resistance always increases when alignment deepens. Your light is being refined, and refinement attracts pressure. Do not misinterpret the quiet as rejection. God is not punishing you. He is protecting you from building a future on foundations that can no longer support who you are becoming. The collapse feels silent because the removal is gentle. God removes access without humiliation. He closes doors without shaming you for walking through them once. This is divine guidance without distraction. No applause, no explanations, just subtle redirection. It requires maturity to endure this phase without panicking. It requires trust to stop pushing doors. God has already released. Circle back again to the truth. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the slowdown. You were called into a phase where trust must replace control, where listening must replace striving, where stillness must replace speed. Your light is necessary. That is why you are being redirected with care instead of chaos. God handles the chosen one gently because what you carry is fragile and powerful at the same time. He knows when to quiet the environment so the assignment is not damaged by noise. Stay steady here. Do not rush this phase. Do not interpret silence as emptiness. What feels like standing still is actually alignment locking into place. When movement returns, it will be precise, clean, and undeniable. If this touched your soul, if you recognize this quiet unraveling in your own life, comment 111, because you know it now. You were called. Identity shift when you stop chasing and start listening. Chosen one, circle back again to the foundation, because this truth must be steady before it can carry weight. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what is happening inside you. You were called, and what you are experiencing now is not withdrawal from life, but a shift in identity that begins internally long before it ever becomes visible on the outside. Divine redirection always changes the inner posture of the chosen one before it changes their outer circumstances. This is the stage where striving begins to lose its grip. You notice that you no longer have the same appetite for forcing outcomes. You stop chasing clarity. You stop chasing people. You stop chasing validation. Not because you are tired in a weak way, but because something stronger has taken root inside you. You begin to move differently, more slowly, more deliberately. You no longer feel the urge to explain yourself to everyone. Silence becomes a response instead of avoidance. Observation replaces reaction. Selectivity replaces urgency. This is not passivity. This is maturity forming under divine guidance. This is where divine calling and chosen one identity stop being ideas and start becoming embodied. You are no longer trying to understand who you are through concepts or labels. You are learning to recognize alignment through feeling. God is training discernment in you, not logic, not strategy. Discernment, the ability to sense what fits and what doesn't without needing external proof. This is unfamiliar territory for many, because the world rewards noise, speed, and constant output. But divine redirection teaches the chosen one to listen inwardly instead of reacting outwardly. You begin to trust subtle signals. A tightening in the chest, a calm yes, a quiet no. These sensations start guiding your decisions more than opinions or expectations ever did. As this shift deepens, intuition sharpens. You notice things before they are spoken. You sense misalignment early. You feel when energy changes in a room. At the same time, your tolerance for noise drops. Crowds exhaust you faster. Shallow conversations feel heavy. Distraction feels irritating instead of entertaining. This is not arrogance. It is sensitivity refining itself. Solitude changes meaning here. What once felt lonely now feels nourishing. Time alone becomes restorative instead of empty. Silence becomes a place of clarity instead of discomfort. This is because your inner world is becoming active. You are no longer afraid of being alone with your thoughts, because your thoughts are no longer chaotic. They are aligning. This stage often looks like withdrawal to others. They may say you've changed, that you're distant, that you're quieter than before. They may not understand that you are not pulling away from life, but concentrating spiritually. This is not isolation. It is focus. God pulls the chosen one inward so they can hear without interference. Most people never experience this stage because most people are not being redirected. They are being maintained. Their lives are designed to repeat, not transform. The chosen one, however, is being prepared. Preparation requires silence. It requires space. It requires the removal of excess. This is also where the war becomes subtle again. Not loud opposition, but internal tension. Old habits try to return. Old patterns ask for attention. There is pressure to go back to chasing, to fill the quiet with movement. But chasing no longer feels natural. It feels misaligned. And that discomfort is protection. God is teaching you how to move without forcing, how to listen without fear, how to trust internal confirmation over external approval. This is power being refined, not taken away. When your identity shifts, your energy becomes more precise. You stop scattering yourself. You stop overgiving. You stop proving. This phase teaches restraint, which is one of the highest forms of strength. Knowing when not to speak. Knowing when not to act. Knowing when to wait. These are not delays. They are disciplines forming inside you. Circle back again to the truth. This is a message from God. You are not imagining this inward shift. You are called into a deeper level of awareness because your light requires control, clarity, and grounding. Unrefined light burns itself out. Refined light illuminates. The war is real here because refinement threatens what thrives on noise. Distraction loses its grip. Fear loses its urgency. External pressure loses its authority. And anything that feeds on your confusion begins to weaken when you become still. Your light is necessary. That is why God is teaching you how to hold it. Not everyone is meant to carry awareness like this. Not everyone is trusted with stillness. You are being prepared for alignment that requires discernment, not impulse. Do not rush this stage. Do not apologize for becoming quieter. Do not force yourself back into patterns that no longer fit just to make others comfortable. The identity shift is sacred. It is shaping how you will move for the rest of your life. You are not withdrawing from purpose. You are becoming capable of carrying it. If this touched your soul, if you recognize this quiet inner shift, comment 111 because you know it now. You were called. Divine guidance revealed, understanding the redirection in real time. Chosen one, return once more to the truth that has been carrying you through every stage of this message. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what is unfolding. You were called, and now we arrive at the point where divine guidance begins to reveal itself, not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly enough that it cannot be denied. Clarity does not arrive as a full plan. God does not hand the chosen one a complete map of the future. Instead, Clarity arrives in small, precise confirmations that land with certainty rather than excitement. A conversation happens at exactly the right moment. A sentence lingers longer than it should. A realization clicks quietly while you are not trying to figure anything out. And slowly, urgency begins to dissolve. This is one of the most important distinctions to understand about divine redirection. God rarely reveals the destination. He reveals the next aligned step, not because he wants you confused, but because trust is built through movement, not prediction. The chosen one is guided one step at a time, so dependence remains on alignment, not on control. As this phase unfolds, something noticeable happens internally. The panic fades. The rush to decide quiets down. Even if circumstances are still uncertain, your spirit begins to feel steady, not excited, not dramatic, steady. That steadiness is one of the clearest signs that divine guidance is active. When God is leading, there is peace beneath the uncertainty. Divine redirection feels calm, not chaotic. That does not mean everything suddenly makes sense. It means the noise inside you begins to settle. The inner arguments stop looping. You are no longer desperate to escape the moment you are in. You start trusting that clarity is forming, even if it hasn't fully surfaced yet. This calm is very different from ego-driven decision-making. Ego is loud. Ego rushes. Ego demands immediate answers. Ego pressures you to act so discomfort will stop. Divine guidance does the opposite. It slows you down. It invites patience. It asks you to listen instead of react. One of the most important skills developed here is the ability to tell the difference between fear-based resistance and soul-based hesitation. Fear-based resistance feels sharp, panicked, and urgent. It pushes you to avoid, distract, or run. Soul-based hesitation feels quiet and grounded. It doesn't say no forever. It says, not yet. Divine guidance always carries peace, even when it asks for courage. Courage guided by God does not feel reckless. It feels clean. There is nervousness, but not chaos. There is uncertainty, but not confusion. The chosen one learns to trust that peace is not the absence of fear, but the presence of alignment. This is where perspective begins to shift. Instead of constantly asking, "Why did this happen to me?" a new question forms naturally. What is this shaping in me? That question changes everything. When you ask what is being shaped instead of what was lost, redirection becomes visible. You start seeing patterns instead of problems, lessons instead of setbacks, preparation instead of punishment, and slowly the pieces that felt disconnected begin to align. Not because everything worked out the way you expected, but because you worked with the guidance instead of against it. The war is still real here, but it changes form. It becomes quieter. Instead of external resistance, it becomes internal temptation to rush ahead of alignment, to skip steps, to demand certainty before obedience. This is where patience becomes power. God is not delaying you. He is positioning you. Each small confirmation is intentional. Each pause is protective. Each moment of peace is a signal that you are not moving alone. Divine guidance does not overwhelm the chosen one. It strengthens them gradually so they can carry what comes next. Circle back again, firmly and without doubt. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the calm that is replacing urgency. You are not imagining the clarity forming without force. You were called because your awareness is required for what you are being led into. Your light is necessary. That is why guidance is precise instead of overwhelming. God does not rush those he entrusts with responsibility. He refines them. He steadies them. He teaches them how to recognize truth without needing it. Shouted. Stay attentive to the small confirmations. Stay honest with what feels peaceful. Stay willing to move step by step instead of demanding the full picture. Divine redirection becomes unmistakable when you stop fighting it and start cooperating with it. This is not the end of the process. It is the moment you realize you are not lost. You are being led. And the guidance you are receiving is shaping you into someone who can move with clarity, courage, and restraint. If this touched your soul, if you recognize this calm clarity forming inside you, comment 111, because you know it now. You were called. Integration and confirmation. You are exactly where you set, meant to be. Chosen one, bring everything back to the beginning now, because integration only happens when truth is reaffirmed. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what you have experienced as you listened. You were called, and if you recognized yourself in these words, divine redirection is not something that is about to happen. It is already active in your life. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are aligned, and you are unfolding. Recognition is confirmation. The fact that you could feel yourself in this message means the process is already underway. Divine redirection always reveals itself through resonance before it reveals itself through results. If your spirit stayed present, if something inside you felt steady instead of defensive, that is alignment acknowledging itself. You have been walking through this without having language for it. Now the language has caught up to the experience. Divine redirection does not feel like instant clarity. It feels subtle. It feels uncomfortable before it feels reassuring. It feels quiet instead of dramatic. It feels protective rather than exciting. And most of all, it feels intentional. Nothing about this process is random. Nothing about what you have lost, released, outgrown, or questioned has been wasted. God only redirects those entrusted with greater responsibility. Maintenance is for those meant to repeat. Redirection is for those meant to transform. If your path required awareness, discernment, restraint, and depth, then comfort could not be your guide. Noise could not lead you. Speed could not shape you. That is why this process has felt isolating at times. That is why you have been slowed down when others rushed ahead. That is why excitement was replaced with stillness. God was not removing joy. He was removing distraction so joy could be rooted in alignment instead of circumstances. You were never meant to rush clarity. Clarity does not arrive through pressure. It arrives through obedience. Each time you released what no longer fit, each time you stayed present in the pause, each time you chose alignment over familiarity, clarity moved closer. Not louder, but closer. This is the part where integration happens. You stop searching for signs because you realize the process itself was the sign. You stop waiting for permission because you realize awareness was the invitation. You stop doubting your sensitivity because you see now that it was your guidance system activating. Divine redirection feels the way it feels because it is designed to refine you, not impress you. If it were loud, you would follow it for the wrong reasons. If it were dramatic, you would confuse intensity with truth. God kept it quiet so you would learn to trust alignment instead of emotion. The war is real, and it has been real throughout this entire process. A war for your attention, a war for your identity, a war for your obedience. But notice this now, you are still here, aware, present, listening. That means the war did not consume your light. It clarified it. Your light is necessary. That is why it has been protected. God does not expose what he intends to use. He covers it, until it can stand without burning out. You have been covered, redirected, positioned, not delayed. This is not the end of your becoming. It is the stabilization of it. From here forward, movement will feel different. Decisions will feel quieter. Alignment will feel more important than approval. You will not need to convince others of what you are doing because you will be able to feel when it is right. Divine redirection is not taking something away from you. It is guiding you toward who you were always meant to become before the world added pressure, noise, and expectation. It is returning you to yourself, but with awareness. If you feel aligned with this truth, if something inside you feels settled instead of stirred, comment 777 now. Let that be your conscious acknowledgement. Not because you need confirmation from outside, but because agreement seals alignment. And before we close, return one last time to the core truth. This is a message from God. You are not imagining this process. You were called because your awareness matters. Your obedience matters. Your light matters. You do not need to rush what is unfolding. You do not need to force what is forming. Stay aligned. Stay listening. Stay grounded. What is coming next will meet you when you are ready to carry it. If this touched your soul, if you know deep down that this message found you on purpose, comment 111, because you know it now, without doubt, without fear, without needing proof. You were called